Welcome to the Hank Cisco show. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't touch that dial. I have a special guest today. Well, it isn't how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get up. Manja. Okay. Go to right, you gotta throw the shoulder around with it. Right? Hey, okay, thank you, and God bless each and every one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Hank Cisco Show. Let's go.
Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show. I'm John Doyle, and I'm here beginning a new era in the Hank Cisco Show. As many people, many viewers will know, Hank Cisco passed away just recently, but we at NASD TV have decided to continue and perpetuate the show, and we're going to keep doing the show in his honor, both to try and continue the mission that he set up originally, which is to talk with interesting people about issues that are both local and regional that can support folks. We're going to continue to work with doctors. We're going to continue to work with local entertainment figures and talk about local politics. And we also have on the show Barb Zippy, who'll be doing episodes with some broader guests. Hank was always trying to expand the show. Barb brings that, and we're both going to try and honor Hank's memory as we continue the production. We care a lot about him, and you may have noticed a different opening for today's program, and this begins, as I say, an era. And one of the ways the era will begin is because we have a tremendous guest here today, and a guest who Hank cared a lot about. And I guess, the first thing I want to say is this, that when you come on the show, half of me wants to just call you like Mr. Phillies, right? Like that's sort of the problem. But Tony Penecale is here, and it's so good to have you on the show.
John, it's a pleasure to be back.
And I know you were close with Hank, and I know we'll chat about some of that as we go through the show. And we have tons that we can talk about. So for those of you joining us, we hope you have a great time with us for this half hour. I have nowhere near the aphorisms and Hank Cisco-isms to share with you. So for me, I'm going to leave this to the conversation that we have today. So thanks again for joining us. Tony, listen, before we even start, I just want to say I appreciate you coming on today. We both were at Hank's funeral.
Yes.
And you were a pallbearer at that funeral, and I know that he means some stuff to you. And if you want to say anything about that before we start, why don't we?
No, John, I'm glad we're starting off this way to pay tribute to a guy that meant so much to so many people, including myself. And I met Hank 6 years ago. I'd heard about him. He was like a mythical figure. Then all of a sudden one night, I'm at a boxing event at the Valley Forge Casino, and he's in the ring with a microphone. And in 2 seconds, I realized he never met a microphone he didn't like, and he's wowing the crowd with these one-liners. And then I go up to take a photo with him because my dad, knew his son-in-law. They had worked together, so it was the first chance I ever got to really meet him. And then a couple years later, and I was going through a real dark time, and everything was kind of a struggle for me. And he came up as a suggestive friend on Facebook, and I said, I'm just going to take the chance, and I clicked add, and he responded within about maybe 3 seconds. And at that time, we were doing a Frank Sinatra fundraiser, and I was on my way to Florida, and I put a post about it, and he said, I would like to have you on the show to, promote it. And I'm like, well, it's not really my event. I'm just kind of helping, a family friend put this together. But she said, no, I need you on the show with me. You're the voice. You're the promotions guy. Sure. I said, okay. So I came on in a sequin tuxedo, and my friend, she froze like a deer in the headlights. And she goes, Tony, you have to do all the talking. I can't do this. And the first question was, tell me about your organization. And I just looked at her and said, well, that's your organization. But we clicked, Hank and I clicked. And he saw the Phillies outfit, and he said, I need you back on in this. And I did. And with Hank Cisco, as you know, and as we said before we got on, he was a guy you did not say no to.
Right.
You never said no to Hank Cisco. So he would ask me to come to these dinner events and say, would you please wear the Phillies outfit? And I would look at him and I would say, well, Hank, it's January. The Phillies aren't going to play for another 3 months, and it's 20 degrees out. But here I would come trudging in shorts and a tank top, a hat and a cape, and I would put the Mr. Phillies superfan persona on because you did not say no to Hank Cisco. And when he passed a few weeks ago, we were all equally devastated. And they called me up to ask me to be a pallbearer. And they said, there's no obligation. And I said, no, I absolutely accept, because once again, you don't say no to Hank Cisco. And it was a beautiful event. It was a great event, and I was honored that his family would ask me to do that.
Yeah, you know, same thing for me, certainly. And the students here in the room know how many times Hank gave me orders, even from his deathbed, and certainly he would let me know, you know, I'm not feeling real well, please shoot this for me. But when they asked me to do the reading, you know, there was no way not to do it.
Right.
You know, they, in a way that was interesting, because they thought they were asking something of me, of you, of whoever, and in fact, it was a pretty even exchange. Yeah. So, you know, it was a beautiful event, and I thought Monsignor did a lovely job with the eulogy, and it was good to see so many faces there sharing this sort of moment and saying goodbye.
Yeah.
I know that you have tons of experience with Hank over these years now since you became friends, and I think it's, you know, it's so interesting that the Valley Forge Casino is one of the places you met, and one of those interesting stories we have about what Hank did for the students here is early in our career there was an event at Valley Forge Casino with boxing, and Hank invited us to record that event. And so I brought 2 students to that event. They ended up in the ring doing interviews with the boxers, way out of their league, like just way out of the kids' league. But watching these kids like just become professionals, because Hank gave them an opportunity. And you know, these were 2 African-American students who some people might have said that wasn't something that was a surprise for them with Hank. And I was like, Hank was a guy who loved every single person he encountered. And I always like to make that point for people who question Hank's integrity, that like what you see is a guy who was growing every single day, and what he did with those students of mine and the way he helped them see their capacity, and some of them have gone on into the industry, was really amazing. So I want to hear from you about some of the encounters you had, and ultimately hear the work you're doing in the community anyway.
Well, one of the things was that day, if Hank had his way, this is what I would have worn carrying his casket.
That is the truth.
I would have been in the Phillies outfit, because once again, you don't say no to Hank Cisco. But when I first got this, as you know, I was on the air 4 years ago in my old Phillies attire.
Right.
And then last year, when I was on the air just about a year ago, I had just signed the deal to have the new one made. I was going to bring the old one on the air and retire it officially on the Hank Cisco show. But the designer, Jim May, was still using it, you know, as a design template when he was making the new one.
Yeah, right.
So I didn't have it with me. Well, they had brought Hank home, you know, in early March, and once again, we didn't know how long, you know, it was going to be, he was going to survive. So I just got the outfit, and I said, okay, I'm coming over on Saturday, and I'm going to wear the new outfit so he can see it. And I was driving to his house, and I was nervous. I was filled with a lot of trepidation. I'm like, what am I going to say? How am I going to react? How am I going to handle this? And I literally walked in, and he boomed, "Hey, tornado."
Right, yeah, exactly.
And this photo was taken that day, and that's Hank, myself, and Michael Grant, his former heavyweight challenger. We got the big gloves on. And Michael Grant had just flown up that day from Atlanta, and he was upstairs taking a nap at the time. And Hank gave an order to his daughter, and he goes, "Go upstairs and wake up Michael Grant so he can meet the tornado." And I thought, I'm like, nah, I think that's the opposite way around. Shouldn't I be wanting to want to meet him? And every 5 minutes, go upstairs and get him right now. And his daughter Mary goes, "Can you please tell him you're going to stay for a couple hours?" So he stops yelling at me. So finally we heard Michael Grant staring upstairs, and we were like, oh, thank goodness he's awake. But I got to see Michael a few weeks ago, and it was nice to see him again and talk to him. The other topic that I had brought some photos of, which ironically was on Hank's 96th birthday this year, November 9th, was the Rocky Run.
Right, and you participated in that Rocky Run.
I did it this year for the first time.
Okay.
Normally I'm booked that weekend because I start working with my friend setting up his Christmas tree lot.
Okay, right.
This year, with Thanksgiving being late, we didn't start till a week later. And folks that asked me to be on their team were people I met at a Phillies game because they liked the outfit.
Okay.
And they said, "Will you be on our team and run with us?" I said, "I would like to do that. It sounds like fun." And then you see their eyes kind of glisten. They're like, "Are you going to wear the Phillies outfit when you run?" Because it's a replica of Apollo Creed from Rocky.
Right, exactly.
And I said, "Guys, this thing weighs like, I don't know, like 8 pounds. I'm not much of a runner. I don't know how well I'm going to do without 8 pounds lunging me down." But I came up with an idea, and you'll see in the photos here, where I dressed as the black and gold Italian Stallion Rocky, which was a Halloween costume I did a couple times prior, including last year when I saw Hank at the Trap Tavern.
That's right. That was
And
that surprise discovery of Hank at the Trap Tavern, right?
Yeah, it was I believe it was his granddaughter's birthday party, and I had the black and gold robe on. We had our gold team shirts on, a pair of black and gold boxing trunks. I put the fedora on. I taped my hands up, and as a good luck charm, I took the picture of Hank and I from the previous year's Halloween, and I put that in my robe pocket, and that was my good luck charm while I did the run. I did a respectable time. It wasn't great, but for a guy who hasn't ran in years, I thought it was okay.
How long's that run? What is it, a 5K?
A 5K is 3.1 miles.
Okay, great.
But the best part about it was the people that I was running with on the team had 2 participants doing the 13-1 half marathon.
Okay, all right.
But they had an apartment 2 blocks away. So when we finished our 5K, we went back to the apartment, drank mimosas and ate Cinnabons, waiting for them to do the other 10 miles.
Yeah, that's good. So you ran off some calories and you went and refilled. That's great. That's good. And so you went and you ran as Rocky that day, and that's great. I mean, it's a ton of fun.
And I, when I went to visit Hank in December, I brought the photo. The very photo that I carried with me, I brought, and I kind of gave it to him as a gift.
Yeah, I remember seeing it next to his bedside. That's quite a story. You're planning to run that again this year, aren't you?
I am going to run it again. I've signed up for it on the early bird this time. You know, that way you get maybe like $20 off.
Right.
And I like it because you get a T-shirt and a medal. And last year, you know, my team is all coming up with a playlist. What are you going to listen to when you run? So I was wearing a fedora, and I usually have big headphones. I'm like, well, I had to get a pair of earbuds, and I was going to listen to the Rocky soundtrack, right? They were blaring the Rocky soundtrack over loudspeakers for the whole 3+ miles.
Right. Right,
I'm like, great, I'll just return these earbuds. I'm never going to use them again.
Yeah, so are you dressing next year?
Oh, I am dressing next year. I could be in this.
Okay.
Or the other idea, and I'm going to segue this into something else, is Rocky 3.
Right.
The Hulk Hogan character, Thunder Lips.
That's right.
I'm like, if I could get a Thunder Lips cape, I'm like, how great would that be to run in that? And with me, you never know.
So what's the Hulk Hogan connection? Tell me a little bit about that.
I'm a child of the 80s.
Okay,
So I grew up in the 80s, big WWF fan at the time, WWE fan now. I still watch it, you know. I do WWF Halloween costumes every year. Well, Hulk Hogan also has a shop in Clearwater, right at Clearwater Beach.
Okay.
Because that's where he's from. He was never from California. They just announced him from California. Right. So I go down every year, and I usually miss him by about a day or so. So last year I go down there, and I bought a Hulk Hogan tank top, and I had bought one the previous year from my godson and my nephew, who was a year and a half old at the time.
Yeah, we have an image
yeah,
of that,
right?
Yeah, we have a picture of that
so,
right here. Here, if someone wants to just zoom in on this, we can tell the story.
Yeah, so I bought him, the first one I bought him was a gold shirt. And now my friends know I'm going to Florida. They don't know when and where I'm doing. And so I'm down there doing my pose in front of the Hulk Hogan statue like a 40-year-old child. And I get a text message, and it's my nephew wearing the gold Hulk Hogan shirt I bought him the year before at the exact second I was taking my photo.
Right, this picture here, right? So this one here.
And he was taking his. So I took that photo and I tweeted it to Hulk Hogan. I said, hey, my nephew's wearing the shirt that I bought him. And Hulk retweeted it, which I thought was kind of cool. I sent that to my friends because they're not on social media.
Right.
So I sent them the screenshot of Hulk Hogan's retweet, which they thought was, pretty cool, pretty neat.
People don't understand the power of Twitter, how you can connect with people in really powerful and interesting ways, like entertaining ways. So maybe Hulk Hogan, Thunder Lips, maybe Philly's outfit, maybe who knows, because your creativity is sort of boundless, right?
We're whatever we do, we're going to make it a good time. And one of the things, when we were going on the air today, last year, it was, obviously a stressful year, with Hank, and I had been putting together another social function last year, and I was having a hard time with it, and I was frustrated going into it. And I remember meeting with the DJ that day, and I was really down. And I said, I'm sorry, it's not turning out the way I wanted it planned. And he goes, you know what? We're here, and we're gonna turn it up. And I said, and I remember Hank's old saying was, you never lose a fight in the dressing room.
That's exactly right.
And going into that, I felt like I was losing that fight in the dressing room. And I said, you know what, let's turn it up. And I said, when I was coming on this show today, and I knew it was going to be one of your first shows, if not your first show after Hank's passing, emotional for you, emotional for me.
Absolutely.
And I said, you know what, 2 things. First of all, we're going to get on this air and we're going to turn it up. And second of all, we're not going to lose a fight in the dressing room.
Right. Well, that's the key. It's always what he loves to talk to the kids, and we call them rock at every given moment, right? One of the things he just wanted them to do is not give up, and that's sort of why we think we want to continue the program, because we want to make sure that dream that he used to say, Columbus Monument for him was a dream that would never die. And I kept saying to Hank, no, the dream that never die is you dreaming that people are going to keep on sort of moving forward, and so we're going to hang tight with that, and we'll try and make that work. Yeah.
I know with regards to Hank, he was a big proponent of St. Joseph's Day.
Absolutely.
Love St. Joseph's Day. So last year, unfortunately, I was just flying home from Florida that day, and I didn't get to go to the St. Joseph's dinner at the Collegeville Bakery.
At Collegeville Bakery, right.
I missed it, but they had videoed him at the house doing a greeting, and they're going to make it an annual tradition. Well, thankfully, I will be able to attend this year. I will be home in time. So I'm excited about that. And that's another place that's very close to my heart.
Yeah, those folks are great. We went up and we recorded that event. I did the audio recording for Hank for part of that event, but I was up there and he asked me to videotape it for him. So I made this video production of that event for him. And those folks up there are spectacular. Their grace, it's just amazing.
I had become friends with them probably about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the way the crazy things work out is, as we've said on the air before, I work for a division of Independence Blue Cross down in Center City. I'm located on site with a client in Horsham. Well, when I was first interviewing for the subsidiary company 7 years ago, I happened to be going there later that night for an Italian dinner with my dad. And the interview was late getting started. They said, we hope you're not delaying you. I said, no, I'm going to a dinner tonight in Collegeville. And they said, Collegeville Bakery? I said, yeah. Well, part of my portfolio for any job interviews was advertisements I did for them.
Okay, all right.
So now they often ask me, hey, we're having a party today. Can you show up in costume? Of course. Happy to be here. When I got the new outfit last year, February 28th, my game plan was to debut it in Florida 2 weeks later.
Right, which just sort of makes sense, right?
Yeah, I'm going to debut at spring training. We're going to, said turn it up, and we're going to have a good time. And Steve, the owner, he goes, when are you debuting it? I said, Florida, 2 weeks. He goes, no, you're not. Saturday night, you will be here, and we're going to have you go photo with every table. We're going to put you behind the counter. We're going to put you by the wood-fired oven. And we did a full debut there. My friends came, my nephew came, other family friends came there, and we did a full big event. That's when in September this year, on my birthday, they put me on the billboard.
Oh, right, yeah, so if we can zoom in on this one, that'd be great. And we have some other photos of you that day, I think. We have you at the oven, right?
Yes.
And I think we have that. I think
we have
you
those with the
around
stromboli.
with the stromboli and the whole works.
The oven.
And then we also have, we'll get to that. So you got that? You got this picture for me? Good, great. See, this is my honoring of Hank, because he would just hold a picture up and make the kids figure out how to deal with it. So I'm going to honor that. They're great folks. I'm glad that was actually, it's a noble place to premiere this in a way.
And what was funny was a few months later, back in July, we were in there on a Sunday having lunch, and Steve, out of the clear blue, goes, do you know anybody going up to the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the Phillies AAA affiliate, anytime soon? I've been there before a couple times. By coincidence, my parents, my aunt and my uncle happened to be going that Thursday. They had free tickets.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, do you think they would mind delivering food? And I said, they probably would. And then he was telling me, he goes, I'm sending a 3.5-foot chicken cutlet to the announce team. And when he was saying that, the lead radio announcer...
Wait, hold on, you got to hold on a second. A 3.5-foot chicken cutlet? Like a giant chicken cutlet sandwich.
A giant chicken cutlet sandwich,
right,
3.5 feet.
I'm pretty sure that picture is now flashing up on the screen. Okay.
So they telling me, and he goes, the one lead radio announcer is the son of the Phillies' lead television broadcaster, Tom McCarthy. It's his son, Pat. I said, I'll take off work, I'll deliver the food. So I went there, I went in there, they brought me in the booth, they had me do photos with them. That's Pat McCarthy, Mike Ventola.
Right, so we have Pat and Mike, right.
And a few days later, at the Philly Stadium, it was go on field for photos with the players. And some of the players would come to each section. Well, Bryce Harper came to every section, but he couldn't stop for photos.
Okay.
But as he's walking by me, he stops and points and goes, yo, bro, great outfit. I'm like, just got a shout out from Bryce Harper. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's a big win.
And then Tom McCarthy walked by and he stops and goes, I see you met my son at the game the other day. You brought him food.
That's
Once
great.
again, hey, any chance you can get, you meet somebody and...
It's, I'm going to have to say, there's a lot of things you could have delivered to someone. A 3-foot-long chicken cutlet is a surprise to me. You didn't say that before the interview. You just said it was a sandwich, and now I know what it is. That's great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So that I mean, Collegeville Bakery does a lot of good work in our community.
They do.
And they're really supportive of the broader community, not just Collegeville, right? They really do stretch out. They've been down here with us. They've served the kids food. We've gone up and we've done work with them. They're great folks.
They just threw a surprise party last weekend for one of their special needs customers,
Right.
who's a Special Olympian. And a few months ago, they had asked for cards to be sent to them. And of course, I'm over the top with everything I do.
Right.
So I took one of the photos of me down at the One Liberty Plaza, which is like a professional grade photo.
Okay.
And I autographed it because that's what I do. And that's the copy of that one right there. So I autographed to the
nice.
young man, and they wanted to arrange a meet and greet. So we did that a few months ago. And when it was a surprise party, they said, would you come in costume and surprise him? Tell me when, tell me where.
Right.
And the night he called me to show up was the night of Hank's funeral. So, of course, we're kind of down. We're
Right.
all kind of down. We're all kind of mentally exhausted. And I got that text message, can you be here on Sunday? And that was like the pick-me-up you need at that time.
Yeah, I understand just what you're saying, people really do rally around in this Norristown community area when they need to. People take care of each other, and it's great to hear. And tragedy may fall, but the work still has to go on, right?
Right.
Like we still have things we have to do. Talk to me a little bit about Santa Claus. We're actually after the holiday, but
Yeah.
talk to me a little bit about you and Santa.
Well,
and we need to not be surprised that a man in this outfit is, Santa's not far away. So let's see what we get.
I bought a Santa suit 20 years ago when my one friend that I grew up with, had his son was born back in 1999, and his daughter was 3 at the time. I had bought a Santa suit, one-piecer. It was relatively cheap. I got it at one of those Spencer's gift stores. And we would kind of do a Santa gimmick every year. So the one year I was actually Santa Rocky. Another year I was Santa Phillies.
Okay.
And a few years later, it was a cheap suit. It was falling apart. And I was at a store the day after Christmas, and I saw a $350 professional quality suit for $75.
Wow.
Bought it on the spot. Great suit. So when I would do the work at my friend's Christmas tree lot, one day I would always appear as Santa. The girl that the first year played Mrs. Claus, I appear for her daughter's Christmas-themed birthday party every year.
Oh, cool.
And this year they brought me in on a fire truck, and I'm doing the waving, I'm doing the ho, 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 and I'm getting all the kids fired up, and they're clapping. Of course, I do this impressive jump off the step from the passenger side. I sprained my ankle, so it's still
Okay,
bothering
good.
me. But
All right, sorry.
yeah, that's all right. So they had me do that, and then every year, Hank's daughter Carol has me come to the Campagna dinner.
Right.
And I do Santa Claus.
And Campagna is their local Norristown organization,
Yes.
right? It's a great group of folks. They can do things together. That's
So I actually will work the Christmas tree lot that morning, go to the LA Fitness, take a shower, change into one of my traditional sequin tuxedos, go to the dinner, sit down, have dinner, then I quote unquote leave. Santa comes and takes my place.
Right.
And
I see.
as
Okay.
we're doing the dinner this year, I'm sitting with Carol, and I said, it's a shame this is the first year Hank is not at the dinner with us. Can I bring Santa to him? And the next day was a Sunday. I was working till 5 o'clock, and the tree lot was only around the corner from his house. And they said, what time? I said, about 5:30. And I changed right at the tree lot, drove around the corner to his house, and he was not very responsive that day. He was kind of drifting in and out, but we sang Christmas carols to him for about an hour. And he would open his eyes periodically, and as we said, we're like, hey, he's probably like, oh, they're still here, let me go back to sleep. One of his nurse aides that day, first time I met her, very nice young lady, was singing with us. Well, I saw her at the church for Hank's funeral, and I went up to her before the mass started to say hello, and she looked at me. I said, you don't recognize me, do you? She goes, no. I said, Santa Claus.
There you go. That's
But
pretty good.
once again, that's something I do. It's a lot of fun, and if someone needs me, I'm there. It's in my car 24/7.
Right. That's
During
great.
the holidays.
Well, that kind of engagement in the community matters, right? Like so often today we hear people talk about how, I guess we want to say community activities, community groups start to dissipate, right? Like we don't have bowling leagues in the way we used to. We still do, but they don't have the activity. We don't have, the Rotary Club, the Kiwanis, those clubs, they don't have the kind of membership they have, and people don't volunteer in those communities, and it's great to have folks who are out there ready to be the face at activities to make people's lives a little brighter, right? My father used to do Santa Claus at Hancock Elementary School, so he would dress up and he would go down there. My dad was a rough and tumble guy. He was not the best Santa you could have. Certainly not, and any child who he scarred, I apologize for. And he used to come to family gatherings. We're just down the street from Hank's house because the Zumo house is on the corner of Powell and Brown are up in that end. So we would go there and have dinner or whatever, and he would do that there as well. And he passed that tradition off to me. Now, I didn't have the white beard at that point, so if I want to, I can grow a pretty big white beard, and I'm a lunatic enough that I pull it off. But he certainly passed that tradition off to me, and it's such a cool practice to be Santa. There's so much power in that relationship you can have with young people, and the relationship you have with the world around you. It's just a really interesting and sort of fun, exciting thing.
And when I started working at Mr. C's back in 2009, they knew I had the suit, and they're like, "Hey, one Saturday or Sunday would you do this?" And the one young lady whose daughter I do the Santa Claus for every year wanted to do Mrs. Claus. And the day we were going to do it was a tremendous snowstorm, like a 2-footer.
Right.
So we had to do it the next day. Then next thing you know, they started throwing, my friends, co-workers, started pelting me with snowballs and doing Eagles chants.
Okay.
Because that's what they do. We're Philadelphians.
Right. Yeah.
And to segue right into that was, didn't I just meet one of the most famous Eagles a few months ago?
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just shift my notes just a hair. So good. So you were, well, let's just start. We have a photo of you of Vince Papale here,
yes.
right? I can hold it up, but we also have.
And I have it right here.
But let me, we'll have put Santa Claus up, so you don't need to worry about that. So here it is. So you don't have to zoom in on this. I'm just going to hold it up. This is a way for us to know we want to put the big picture over top. Tell me how this came to be.
I had always wanted to meet Vince Papale. Obviously you're growing up and you hear about a local guy making the Eagles. And when you're a pee-wee football player, that's always like a dream. You think you can pull it off. Well, I had been given private access to an Eagles practice this year.
Okay.
So I'm going into the practice, and Vince Papale's there. Well, the story about Vince, and they actually feature this game in the movie Invincible with Mark Wahlberg, was his very first professional game against the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
That game was on September 12th, 1976. I was born September 13th, 1976.
Okay.
I was due September 29th.
Yikes.
So I was supposed to be a Libra, but I'm a Virgo. And, well, as a joke one day, one of my coworkers said, "You must have been born on Friday the 13th. I said, "No, smarty, it was Monday the 13th. I said, "Eagles must have been on, you didn't want to miss them, right?" I said, "Well, no, they lost the previous day." And I called my mom. I said, "Mom, about what time did you go into labor with me?" She goes, 4:30. I said, "Right after the game was over." So the Eagles lost to the Cowboys, and I must have been an ornery little critter, and out I came, and I told Vince, I said, "You missed that opening kickoff tackle, and you put my mom in labor."
That's great. And talk about being specific about the cause of the labor. Holy mackerel. All right, that's great. I
don't know how true that is with my mom, because she didn't watch football until about 7 years ago. Now she's a diehard fan.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So what was the meeting with Papale like?
What a nice guy.
Yeah?
Such a nice guy. Autographed a photo for me, and we laughed about it. His daughter was standing there, Gabby. She laughed about it, and a gentleman. He was there meeting fans, and you can just imagine, this guy was a school teacher and a bartender, and now he is like immortalized in Eagles history,
That's right.
in NFL history, and in fact, cinematic history.
Yeah, the whole works. Yeah, I have a couple friends who were on that film, like theater friends of mine who went and worked on that film.
Same casting company that did all the Rocky Balboa and Creed movies here at casting.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, cool stuff. Listen, I want to find a little bit more out about the suit. So, like, we just have to address the fact you're sitting in front of me in a very, very specific outfit. So talk to me about so this outfit is a second generation for all practical purposes. What made you decide you needed to do the second generation?
The first one I had, which was nice, it served me well. I got it back in 2012.
Okay.
And after a couple of years, it was starting to fade a little bit. It was starting to get beat up. The hat was starting to get a little floppy. When they had made the hat, I guess the woman that was doing it wasn't able to do my physical measurements because she was thousands of miles away.
Okay, all right.
So she was depending on everything I sent to her. Well, the hat was a little small, so I had to cut a layer of it out, and it was starting to get beat up a little bit, and it was starting to get worn. So capitalizing on the Eagles Super Bowl success from 2 years ago and the Jason Kelsey Mummers outfit, Barbara Zippy, who's been on here, they recommended I reach out to Jim May, who I believe was also on the show before.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I called Jim back in September. I was talking to him about it, and Jim at the time was not really interested in taking the job.
Right.
And now
and part of that's because of the fame he was getting, that people were really starting to hammer him to try and get work.
Exactly.
Right?
They were trying to get not just work, but they were trying to get cost-efficient work, aka cheap.
Right.
So they were trying to get replicas of the Kelsey outfit, but maybe only spend $100, where that was a thousands of dollars outfit.
Right, absolutely.
So I got him on the phone. He kind of shut me down, just said, send me some pictures of what you have and what you want.
Right.
And I sent him the photos. He didn't respond. So a few months later, I called him again. It was getting close to the holidays, and he shut me down again. He goes, because I'm too busy right now with the Mummers. Call me after the new year.
Right.
But the luck of the draw, that little boy that I showed you the photo of, his grandfather was friends with Jim May.
Oh, great.
So I use that as a segue, I use that as an in. He was still kind of pushing back, but he had a little crack in the armor.
Right.
So the final straw to get him to meet me was he quoted me a price in his mind, double what he planned to charge me.
Okay, all right.
To see if I would go away.
Yeah.
And I said, that's doable. I'll see you Tuesday. And you heard him gasp on the phone, like he knew I was for real. I went there on Tuesday. I brought my hat, I brought my cape, told him what I wanted to do. We started looking at material on the spot. Pulls out the contract, half of what he had quoted me. I signed it on the dot. I said I need it by March 15th.
There you go.
And then he would call me, you know, he'd be like, hey, we're working on this. Can I get your input? And I'm like, sure, you know. And
I mean, it looks beautiful. You can see
you.
the sort of, I mean, I know that he wasn't making huge artistic decisions because you have a structure already in place, but the quality of the work is really spectacular.
He had ideas like he trimmed the gold this year,
Right.
which was the idea to really make things stand out. That was one of his ideas. Funny thing is that, you know, I debut it at the Collegeville Bakery, and then I go to Florida 2 weeks later, and after I go down to Florida, one of the ideas from last year's Halloween costume when I did Rocky was I added the gold tassels. And my dad said, nobody's going to notice them. And Hank was the first person to notice them. He goes, I love the tassels.
Oh, that's great.
And I said, I'm going to add tassels to this outfit, which I did. I'm down in Florida, and one of my friends shows up. We're at the Tiki Bar. He goes, I see you added tassels. I said, that's the first thing you're going to say to me? I just got this couple $1,000 outfit completed, and you're looking at $10 tassels?
That's well, but that's what happens, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess
they knew this was coming. They didn't know that was coming.
Right, and so that surprise is what gets there. Listen, we're running out of time, and so what I want to do is give you the opportunity to tell folks how they can get in contact with you.
Absolutely. I actually did. I brought one of my business cards here.
That's great.
And I will send that to you as well. I'm redoing the business card. This is my fan page, which on Facebook is facebook.com/Phillies Tornado, and it's going to be on the screen.
It will be right below you on the screen.
Just like the team, Phillies Tornado. And that's the hashtag I've been using. That's what I'm going to update the card with. When you post photos on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, use the hashtag Phillies Tornado. So
you're at a game and people come up and they take a photo of you. And
I give them that card.
And you want them to sort of keep the story going, and so they're hashtagging that hashtag.
And what I'll do with the photos that are sent to me is I make fan videos, and the fan videos I make, I will then use them with the ones they send me. Last year with the new outfit, I had made a retirement video, and then I made a movie trailer style video with the new outfit, but it was all movie clips, and then at the end it just shows a clip of the new outfit, like coming March 2019.
That's a ton of fun. Yeah, that's great. So listen, we hope people will check you out. We'll contact you. We'll go follow you on Facebook. That'd be great. I can't thank you enough for being our first guest back after Hank Cisco's passing. And it's, you know, I know what he meant to you, and I feel like your heart's in the right place for this show. So thanks so much for being here.
John, it's been a pleasure as always. And whenever you need me, I'm only one phone call away.
That's great. Listen, I'm going to turn to my camera, but I just want to say one more time, thanks a lot for being here.
Thank you.
Like, seriously.
And it's been an honor.
And folks, it's great to have Tony here today. It is great for you to take a moment and go check out his Facebook page, Phillies Tornado. So facebook.com Phillies Tornado. Just search Phillies Tornado on Facebook. You'll find it. Hashtag your pictures if you get him with him. Hunt him down at the Phillies games. He's worth just a few moments of your time or an hour of your time, however much you get. We're really thankful that you folks have shown up today to watch the Hank Cisco Show. Again, this is the beginning of our new era, a new time where we're going to continue and perpetuate the show. We want to honor Hank's memory. He's really important to us. If you want to hear a little bit more about NASD TV's reflection on our according to Hank, 31 years, but whatever, 25 years of consistent production of his show, just look on the Hank Cisco page or the NASD TV YouTube page. You'll see a little video clip there from some students and from me sort of framing out our plans for the future and our thanks to Hank for his time. But for those of you watching, we're glad that you're here. We hope you will tune in next time to the Hank Cisco Show. Have a great week, weekend, whatever it may be.